What's up with it? This your boy Jay Merv of the Not the Happiest Place podcast. And welcome to episode 2. Y'all see who I got? I got Lexi with me. You know what I'm saying? And we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna discuss some things. We're gonna talk it out. But I'm excited to have you on. I know we've had some difficulties earlier trying to get this recorded, but we got it together. But publicly, I want to say to you, I deeply apologize because I spoke out of turn when I first got terminated, because there was a lot of light shine on you, and without me thinking about it, I just spoke and I started like speaking out of turn. I apologize for that. I am 46. I am a grown man, and you know what? I can admit when I'm wrong. But let's just open up the discussion. Let's go with it. You know, this podcast is geared towards cast members and, you know, anyone else who's been with the Walt Disney Company, Disneyland, that's been done wrong and just want to speak their truth. You know what I mean? And this is why I started it. And it's causing a lot of drama, but it is what it is. But, you know, ladies and gentlemen, I have Lexi with me. And again, thank you for coming on. Thank you for talking with me. And I appreciate you. So go ahead and tell the people who you are, even though I already told them who you are. But, you know, let's get into it.
The infamous Lexi. No, honestly, thank you for having me. Thank you for the apology. You know, I really appreciate it. I understand, you know, as mad as I was when you went off, but I get it. I understand.
Yeah.
You're human. I'm human. I would have went off too. So I totally, which I'm probably about to do right now.
Right.
But no, I totally understand and thank you. And I'm really glad that somebody started this podcast because it's something that I thought about doing, but then I was like, you know what? No, I really don't want to. I don't want to get into that. That's just something that, you know, it's it's deep. It's multi-layered for sure. And I'm
Yes.
glad that we're kind of able to, or I'm able to at least contribute to peeling back some of those layers because yeah, I think there's definitely been a lot of he said, she said, and
Yes.
definitely pinning against one another, and that's not the case at all. So, yeah, let's get into it. I don't know where to start.
Well, you know what? Let's start here. Let's start with where you and I went wrong. Because as a manager, I get it. New kid on the block. I'm just coming in. I don't know anyone. So I'm hearing things from multiple people. But one thing about me is I will give everybody the benefit of the doubt. I will allow you to show me who you are. And that's just the way that I am. But with a lot of background noise, it was kind of hard for me to like, all right, what's going on here? Because I'm hearing from everyone on the team who knew you, but in the back of my mind, I'm like, am I being played? Is it, you know what I'm saying? Is there something deeper going on here? Because we know. And you know what? I don't give a damn. The managers were lazy as crap. They were freaking lazy. They didn't want to do anything. A lot of stuff got put in my lap, especially things that were not in my area. And I would complain about that all the time. But when your name came up, I'm like, who is this Lexi? Who is this person? Well, she's a troublemaker. Okay, well, what is she doing? You guys got to tell me what's going on, which is why I said, for some reason, Gloria just could not stand you. And I didn't know why. So when I would ask her, what's the issue? Well, her and her friends. Well, what are they doing? Well, they just get on my nerves. So she would never give me an answer. So my thing is like, all right, Jamal's gonna just, I'm gonna play the background. I'm just gonna see what I see. And I know a few times we did have interactions where it's like, hey, you need a ADO or time off or whatever. And I would try to help out, which I will say I got my neck cut because I was constantly helping cast members out. And I think it was a time you needed like a day off or something like that. And I think I approved it. And Oh my gosh, I didn't hear the end of it, but that was between Gloria and I. Gloria was upset because I did it. So I'm thinking that something, and this could be a lie, could be something that she just said. I don't know if you went to her and asked her and she said no, and then it got to me and I approved it. So I'm not even sure if that was the truth, but Gloria, I, I just don't know. I
So
don't know, Lex.
So clearly, I need a message Gloria or something because clearly she has a I don't know she has a an admiration for me or something because I have not done anything to her genuinely. Like I never knew her outside of work. Never, I didn't even really interact with her as a manager because when you came on the scene, at that point the only manager that I really went to was Elaine. And because I loved Elaine, right? Say what you got to say about Elaine. I loved Elaine. I was straight up with her.
Yeah.
She was straight up with me, and that's how I roll, right? So I would only go to Elaine, or Vera, right? Because Vera was my manager previously in DCA, so I had known Vera.
Oh,
Yes, so there was already a relationship and a history with Vera. So when she kind of saw me transfer over from DCA, because that's what I did. I transferred from DCA to Disney. And she
okay.
was like, "Oh, Lexi, you're here." And I was like, "Yeah, hey Vera," and she was like, "Okay, great." And that was that. So when it came to your and I's relationship, the only thing that started kind of circulating was that you had a problem with my partner at the time, who was back in the utility area because you were the utility manager, I guess, and you had a problem
Yeah.
with them and their crew that they hung out with. And that came from Gloria. And then, yeah. So, and then,
Are you guys hearing this? Gloria, you slimy SOBU. But I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
no, go ahead.
Yeah,
Maybe she
I'm
is
just
something.
I'm just, yeah. You know what? To that point, completely false. I had no problem with utility. Now, I know because I'm new on the scene, utility has been able to get away with the things that utility have been doing, according to the managers. So I kind of had to be a manager, like, all right, look, I'm hearing all these negative things about utility. Well, first, let me say this. Vera gave me that crew because she says, I know are a strong manager. I know you from security. They need guidance. Cool. But I think there was some individuals in utility that just, how you say, they were strong in their opinion. They were very, very strong in their speech, and they did things a certain way. And yeah, I get it. I came on the scene and I started changing things, but I never once had a problem with anybody in utility. I was just doing my job. But what people didn't see, whenever something went wrong in utility, it was my fault. Jamal, that's your area. Jamal, that's your area. And I was hearing the negative things. So it's like, I want to make utility, I want them to stand out in what they do, because I actually really had a heart for utility, which got me in trouble because I was trying to help them along, get them the equipment that they needed, all the little bickering that was going on. I was trying to squash all of that. But again, it kind of bit me in the butt because even Gloria would say, well, um, they're doing this or they're doing that, or you have two peoples on the scrubber every day. So what? The work is getting done. I don't care as long as the work is getting done. But they wanted me to come down on utility and just bash them over the head because they felt I was being too soft with utility. And I know I was not. But again, the perception, who's this new guy? What's he, he can't tell us nothing. And I had to work through a lot of that stuff. But I didn't have one problem with anybody in utility. And Gloria, yeah, okay, I got some shit too. Don't play with me, Gloria. Yes,
No,
yes,
really.
yeah, and
But
again, I get it. It sounds like just a big misunderstanding between you and I. And truth be told, I had a conversation with a lot of people in utility now, and we're all kind of like, dang, we never knew this. But that was the smoking mirror. They wanted utility and everybody else to believe that I was against them, when actuality, I was handling a lot of the business. A lot of people still have their jobs because I refused to go after them. There's a lot of people who should have been fired, but I was like, we need to really look and see what the problem really is. I'm not interested in just firing people for nothing. And there are a lot of people that were fired for nothing. And I'll say it. It was fabricated. It was all false and wrong. And they know that I know, which is why they're afraid right now, but
we'll
it's
see. And
crazy.
to that point of, people being fired for, no reason or for a fabrication, right? That I feel is part of why I was so um angry towards you, right?
Mhm.
As a manager. And just because I truly, when you first got there, I thought we hit it off. I was like,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah,
he is, the same energy type as me. He seems to care about the cast members because I care about the cast members too. Great. I have a manager who finally cares, right? And
right.
so then as time progressed and it seemed like at some point all the managers including yourself kind of turned against me and just were no longer like, sorry, we can't help you. And so in my mind I'm thinking, well, what did I do? So then going and asking, my fellow cast members who may or may not have liked you, right? I'm
Mhm.
gonna
Yeah,
say
yeah.
probably didn't, according to the advice that they gave me, which
Mhm.
was, oh, well, we heard that as soon as he found out who your partner was, that he switched up and that he doesn't want to have anything to do with you. And, he's homophobic and he also doesn't like Hispanic people. And you and, your partner are Hispanic. So, he, be careful, watch your back. And I was kind of like, what the heck? And then, incidents happened where my partner at the time ended up getting terminated. And apparently it was your signature on the paper. So then
Yeah.
we were like, well, wait a minute. We were like, well, wait a minute. Maybe that is true. Maybe he doesn't like, gay people. Maybe he doesn't like Hispanic people. What the heck? And so then I kind of, as the type of personality that I am, I was like, well, wait a minute, you're not going to come for my people and my people, meaning, my partner at the time and
Yeah.
myself. And, no, F that, because I can't cuss. Gotta keep it rated G. So I was upset and I ended up, um, kind of going to my union rep at the time, who was Armando. I think he still might be. And I was kind of like, hey, I don't know what to do about this manager, Jamal, because my partner just got fired and Jamal's the one who did it. Jamal's the one who sanctioned it, according to what's being said and down in the office and around the utility team. What the heck? What can I do? And he straight out was like, yeah, it's because, he doesn't like your partner because you guys are gay and because you guys are Mexican. And he was like, but don't worry, we have a meeting that we're going to have with all of the shop stewards to go over what we're going to do about the manager situation, specifically Jamal and Vera. And so right then
Wow.
and there, yeah, so right then and there, he was like, go ahead and do me a favor, write a statement of what occurred and what happened. And I was like, okay, sure. Yeah, why not? And I did. I wrote that statement because I was pissed off. I was like,
Mhm.
yeah, clearly you're my union rep. Why would you lie to me? You clearly know, because he was very adamant. Oh yeah, I know who Jamal is. Yeah, I don't like him. Him and I, he wanted to step to me, and and
I will go back to that point. Go ahead, because
sorry, I'm so
no,
sorry.
no, 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 no. Hey, you know what? I love it. I love it. This is healthy for me because it's allowing me to finally decompress because I've had
Mhm.
this built up for so long, and it's like, wow. Yeah. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Misunderstanding for sure.
No, 100%. Honestly, Jamal, I feel like you and I are in a very similar situation where they kind of saw that you and we are no nonsense type of people. And I
Yes.
think that's why they use that word that she's a troublemaker, is because I will sit here and I don't care who you are. If you're doing something wrong or you're doing something unethical, I have no problem calling you out. You could be Walt Disney himself. I don't care.
Hey,
And so,
rolling over
and so
in
I think
his grave. Yes.
literally, poor guy. R.I.P. But I think you and I are very similar in that sense. And I think you and I, unfortunately, we got tangled in Miss Kim's web, and she
Yes.
decided that instead of, using us as, she couldn't use us as her pawns, unfortunately.
Right.
So she
Right.
decided to get rid of us. And yeah, that's definitely something that I think I think this is therapeutic for me too, because I'm like, wow. You don't understand, Jamal. She called me on her personal phone. I'm sorry if I'm rambling, but I just
No, no, no.
talking
It's
about
good.
everything gets
This
thoughts
is
going.
good. This is good. This is good. Go
Yeah,
right
she
ahead.
called me, and she called me. It was, I think, at like 7 or 8 p.m. I have the call logs. I have all of her text messages still. All of,
Mm.
I have everything. I even have the messages from Gloria, where I think it was a couple messages back and forth regarding that she needed my updated medical documents, and I was like, yeah, here you go. I sent them to you, and she was like, okay, thanks. That was it. So I'm like, I don't understand. Anyways, but going back to Kim, she called me at like 8 p.m. I think it was on her personal phone, and she was divulging, oh, I'm so sorry. I couldn't get back to you. I wanted to call you earlier. We were talking like we were gal pals. And
Yeah, yeah.
she,
That's her.
she that is one thing. Kim is very good at that. I don't know her as a person because I only know her as a manager and as a boss, but she is very, very good at making you believe that you are her friend. Very
Oh
good.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, she definitely, I think, tried to spin that with me, right? And
Mhm.
I did. I may have fell for it slightly, which is why I'm probably in the situation I am in. But apart from my own actions, but I remember her calling me, and she, was, hey, so, oh my goodness, my day was so long. Hey, so what are you doing? What's going on with you? And how are you? I haven't talked to you. And like we were gals. And I was like, oh yeah, she was telling me about her personal family things that she was going through. And, I was like, okay, great. This is very interesting. I was a little taken back. Um, and yeah, so I thought her and we were, she even made comments about, you're so good. You're such a good cast member. I think you should really look into, coming with me when I transfer, because I think the transfer was already in motion, right? So, or she was already
Yeah.
talking about it. And
Yep.
so in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, great. This is a really good manager. She's really, really, dedicated to helping her cast members. And then going back to and circling back to that meeting where I had with her about the situation between you and I.
Mhm.
And I was in there with her, a shop steward, myself, and Armando. Okay.
Yeah.
And I remember she sat me down, we had our conversation, and I told her, well, I just feel like maybe something happened between him and I, because him and I were fine. We were good, as far as a manager cast member relationship. As
Yeah.
I thought he helped. And I even told her, I said, whenever I needed an ADO or I needed assistance, he helped me, and then something happened, and it just he just stopped communicating the way that he did. So I would like to talk to him, because she asked me, well, what would you like for the outcome of this situation, and you know, and she was like, I can't tell you the disciplinary
That's
actions, but
scary.
and,
Hey, oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. For those of you that are watching, those of you that are listening, when she did Kim's voice, I heard it and I saw it in my freaking head. And I'm like, she is spot on. Oh my goodness. Like, okay. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no, that's okay. Yeah, and so I asked her, I said, hey, well, you I would like to, can we bring Jamal in here? I wanna, because again, I'm the type of person where I want to nip this in the bud. And I told
Yeah,
her specifically in front of Armando and in front of my shop steward, I do not want anyone, myself included, to have an uncomfortable working environment. And if I did
right.
something to him to upset him, I want us to address it where he doesn't feel like it's, he's being outnumbered because it's a union rep and a shop steward. And I don't feel outnumbered because it's him and a bunch of managers. You know, can we do this? And her body language changed. She went from
Mm,
her uppity self, how
yeah,
she sits very
yeah.
upright.
Yep.
She kind of, mm, and she sat back.
Wow.
And and when
Oh,
Kim sits back, you know that the answer is most likely no.
right.
So,
Absolutely.
and it was. And it was. She did not. She responded with, well, I don't know if that's something that we're going to be able to do because, we don't want anyone to feel uncomfortable or feel like they're being attacked or bombarded. And I was like, okay, then I guess it's not going to happen. So yeah, our situation went unresolved.
Wow. Um, I knew none of this at all. According to, well, okay, let me touch on this since you brought that up. Mr. Armando. All right. I was going to save this for an episode of What's on Jay's Mind, but I never knew who this guy was. Okay. Vera's in her office. I think either I just got to work or I came in from the field or whatever I was doing. And this guy walks up to me. He says, hey, you Jamal? Now, the Tampa, Florida, SD, Southeast side, the blackness rose up. And I said, yeah, who are you? He said, oh, well, I hear you're telling cast members they can't take breaks. And I said, well, whatever cast member told you that is just as stupid as you are for believing that. Why would I tell a cast member that? I said, that's dumb. And then I said, and I'll tell you this, the next time if you ever come at me like that, we'll have a freaking problem, dude. And Vera came out of her office and she looked like, wait, what happened? And he's like, oh, well, I'm just making sure. I was like, all right, well, we good? He said, yeah. I walked onto the office and Vera, she's like, what happened? She said, I heard all of that. What's going on? I said, well, whoever this guy is says that I was telling cast members that they can't take breaks. I said, that's stupid. She's like, well, that's Armando. And I'm like, who is Armando? I don't know him. He's like, well, I guess at the time he was a shop steward who is now a chief shop steward or whatever, or now he works directly for the union, I
Yeah,
guess.
so he was a chief shop steward for day custodial who went
Right.
to be the union rep for strictly just to the union.
Crazy. And
Mm-hmm.
that's all that happened. And she said it was so funny. She said, Jamal, because when I heard you like kind of buckle up, kind of get like, oh, wait a minute. She's like, because everybody knows me from security. I've never been a scary guy. I'm kind of like, this is what it is. If we have an issue, then hell, we can clock out, we can throw them hands, and we can shake hands afterwards. I've always been like that. But I thought we were fine after that because it's like I'm like, Vera, I don't know him. I don't. I said, but she said, I know you would never say anything like that. But that was kind of like when I felt like, okay, something is going on. And I've been hearing the rumors and the whispers from my security partners, but that was it. And maybe because I said this to him in front of people, the what do you call them? The dispatchers were there, and a few other cast members were like, well, damn, like, damn. And maybe I embarrassed them. You know, if I embarrassed you, dude, sorry, but you came at me sideways and I wasn't gonna go for it. But after that, I seen him a few more times and he wouldn't speak to me. There was one time when myself and Doug, we were getting on the shuttle, just myself and Doug. He came out to the shuttle. He saw that I was on it. He wouldn't get on. And I'm like, I ain't got no problem with you, bro. I don't. But the funny thing is, I didn't notice it. We drive off and Doug goes, that was Armando that was going to get on the shuttle. And I was like, so I'm thinking he didn't get on because I was there. But I'm cool with dude. But, oh my goodness. This is funny. This is so funny. But even circling back, I never had a problem with who you were talking to, the race of anybody else, not at all. And yes, I'm going to go ahead and say that some of my best friends are, you know what I mean? They are black, they are Mexican, they are white, they're Filipino, you know what I mean? They are all colors of the rainbow. I have never had an issue with that. That does not bother me. One of my favorite uncles, you know what I'm saying? My favorite uncle, rest in peace, was, you know, he liked guys. So what? But for them to say that, that aggravates me because that was never a thing. Oh my goodness. This crap surprises me because I really understand it was just a misunderstanding. It was just a lot of he said, she said, and I really get it. I'm sorry that it took so long for it to come out, but sometimes things have a way of working themselves out just like that. Because for a year, I've been wanting to reach out to you and I've been wanting to get kind of, clarification on what happened. But it was one of those things where she probably wouldn't want to talk. You know what I mean? You kind of psych yourself out to say, oh, well, she's probably not going to want to talk or whatever. But we do have a mutual buddy who I won't mention that I think they had a little influence there. You know what I'm saying? This person loves it when I say big chillin'. You know what I'm saying? And
oh
yeah, I think they're just like, you don't really, you just got to get to know, you got to talk to her. She will talk. So that's why I was like, okay, let me go ahead and talk. Let me see. Let's see if we can get this settled. So
okay. Yeah,
I hope.
I'm gonna message that person as soon as we're done and be like, I'm glad you said something, because listen, if that's the case, I was like, yeah, I did. I told that person actually was the person to let me know that you and I even had beef to begin with way back when.
Right.
And that person was very, asked me straight out, was like, Lexi, did you say or do X, Y, and Z? And I was like, dude, you know me. This is what I did. This, and what I had explained to you about, the statements regarding, my partner at the time and that situation and everything.
Yeah.
And I was like, that is it. That's as far, and, we'll call them big chillin'.
Yeah. Big chillin'. Shouts out, big chillin'. Shouts out to you. I appreciate you, big chillin'. Like I want I really just want people to know, like, yo, I really had a heart for everybody. There were times, and I'll share this with you. We'll get back to the whole Kim thing. There were times, especially during the ending of this thing, where I would leave the office. I was always the last to leave because oh my goodness, lazy sons of, yeah, they never wanted to get work done. But I would go to the lot, sit in my car, and I'm almost close to like tears because I'm so frustrated at what's going on, how the cast members are being treated, how we're being treated, how I'm being treated as a manager who just wants to make things right. But I was told, they pulled me to the side and said, you care too much for the cast members. They are not your friends. I've heard that. I heard that even when I was the lead. And there were other managers that I won't mention that were just like, yo, Jamal, they're saying you care too much. I'm like, who's saying that? The higher ups, the people, even somebody who didn't have, shouldn't have had their nose in business anyway. Alicia, I'll call you out. That's just what it is. You shouldn't have had your nose in art anyway. Yeah, that's yeah.
I'm sorry, her and Sebastian. I will say this right now. Catch me outside. How about that? Like, let Sebastian. I know you still live up. Your parents still live up in Upland, my boy. So, I'm not
Oh,
pressing nobody, but
no threats.
no
Wow,
threats. But catch me outside, honey.
dang.
Mm-mm.
Oh, good old Friar Tuck. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, mm-mm.
He's another one. Oh my god, yeah. To everybody that's listening and watching, we are, what I'm saying, there's no format. All right. We're just talking. We're talking like people right here, you know what I'm saying? But yes, Sebastian, he was another one, but back to Kim, like I knew she was setting me up, but what should have really tipped me off is when she kept putting focus on you, focus on my peers. There was no peers involved. It was Sebastian. It was Alicia. It was nobody else. But those were her buddies. You know what I mean? Sebastian came in with he's gonna be senior manager, but of course they had to get Jamal out first. But I just don't know why I didn't see it in the beginning, which is why I feel so bad because I didn't take the time to sit back and like, man, let me go to Lexi and ask a question. And even me going to Vera, I'm like, Vera, something's going on. Vera didn't say much, of course, because Vera's Vera. But I knew something was going on. But the reason why, and I'm gonna say this, the reason why my name was on a lot of I believe termination paperwork is because the other managers were bullshitting and they didn't do it. They left me with all the work and it made me look like the bad guy, which is why a lot of times I was having these conversations with cast members. And I would say, why am I doing this? This makes me look bad. Because if you look at the paperwork, if you look at everything that happened, my name is on a lot of disciplinary actions, lunch meal penalties, because that was my job. And nobody wanted to do the freaking work. One day, with this certain individual, that was supposed to be done by Gloria, who called out, or I forget what happened. She called out, somebody called out, and it was one of the things where even Elaine is like, do not set up a separation if you're not going to be at work. So that fell in my lap. And when I started looking at it, I even told Vera, I said, this looks bad because my name is on everything. And nobody wanted to share the work. And I thought about that. I'm telling you, I thought about that, Lexi, when I left. I said, you know what? No, I was still there. And I said, I'm not doing any more terminations. You guys need to do the work. Because at the end of the day, it makes me look like I'm the bad guy when it had nothing to do with me. And a lot of terminations that came down when there was a decision being made. So it goes up to LRER or whatever. We would make a recommendation. A lot of times my recommendation was like a last and final or a written or suspension. But one of the managers, Kim was one of them, Gloria was one of them, that said, well, why would you give them a last and final? I'm like, well, why not? Give somebody a chance to kind of redeem themselves. No. And it was changed. A lot of cast members were fired. I put on the document last and final because they already had a lot of them, or another write-up, or the suspension is that's it. No, they changed it. Kim, she didn't yell at me because she wasn't stupid, but she said, why would you give this person a last and final? You need to fire them. I said, I'm not doing that. Last and final is what it is. So she went and changed it. So many cast members, she changed what I had put. And that's just facts. Because I'm at a point, like I said, I'm at a point, I don't give a crap right now. I don't care. But what they did, it needs to be exposed. And I'm all here for it, because that whole villain manager bullshit. Oh, sorry, y'all. But that whole villain manager crap, that came from Kim. It came from Sebastian. And Sebastian came in, he played everybody. He played the whole team. And I was the only one. I said, this guy is a snitch. He's a rat, and I don't trust him. Oh, well, Jamal, you don't trust anybody. No. I'm like, I'm from the hood. I know what this dude is doing. He's a snitch. And that's Alicia's boy. He came in, everything that we all talked about, everything that we did, he would tell Alicia, and they would have a powwow with Kim, which is like, how do you know I gave this person the ADO? How do you know that? The only person that was around is Sebastian. I'm very aware of who's around when I say what. A lot of times I say things on purpose just to screw with people to see where it's going to get. But that dude, Lex, like he played a game so well and nobody noticed it. But I was the bad guy because I was calling him out on his BS. And I would tell the team, you can't trust this guy. But now there's people who I won't name that are contacting me like, you were right. You were right. I know I was right. The dude, I mean, look what happened when I got fired. He became a senior manager, a few months after I was gone? They couldn't even wait till I was buried. They just gave him the position because I was talking to Kim about being a senior manager. I had already talked to Vera. I got the checklist. Vera said, I am going above and beyond being a senior manager. And then she says, but you already know who's not going to let that happen. Kim and Alicia. Right. But they had to get rid of me first. And answer me this question. How is it that he becomes a senior manager and he just got to the department? He wasn't there very long, maybe a few months. And then when we get that guy Dive, I don't have a problem with Dive, but how is it that Sebastian is Dive's mentor and Sebastian hasn't even been in our department but 5 minutes?
Exactly.
You got to make that make sense, man. These guys, this is why I'm not going to stop till they're all exposed. And I hope big bad Papa Disney comes down to the park, which they will, and they're going to want documents. So. Oh, they will. They will, because people are starting to speak out now. People are really starting to get sick of the BS that's going on. I mean, in custodial. both sides, day and night. It is toxic.